All right, I want everybody to stand and say a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, call the meeting to order Monday, November 27th, 2023, 6 p.m. for the Susan Tully Advisory Board Room of 1870. Roll call, please.
Mr. Andre.
Here.
Mr. Gayhart.
Here.
Mr. Gatton.
Here.
Mrs. Ingersoll is excused. Mrs. Costa.
Here.
Mrs. Reckles.
Here.
Mr. Scarrow.
Here.
Mr. Vargas.
Here.
And Mr. Forster.
Here.
Awesome. This meeting has been properly noticed through state statutes. Community participation, is there anybody wishing to speak? Sure. You familiar with the board policy?
I am.
Yeah, okay. Why don't you just state your name?
My name is Kelly Lagran.
Okay.
I just need some copies. Basically, I wanted to provide each of you with a copy where you'll be able to see a summary of my email exchanges between the middle school president of the PTO and the principal of the middle school. On Friday, October 27th, I emailed the middle school PTO asking 3 questions regarding the Scholastic Book Fair. It was held at the middle school from October 16th through the 20th. The main question was just asking to be provided with a list of all the books that were available for sale. The first 2 responses that I received from the president of the PTO didn't even acknowledge this particular question. It wasn't until the 3rd response from the president of the PTO that I was informed that there wasn't an inventory list of books, so there wasn't one to give. I had a hard time believing that Scholastic would ship out books that were not inventoried, so I reached out to the principal of the middle school, as well as carbon copied the PTO email address to see if he'd be able to get a list. I was taken back by the response I received from the president of the PTO, who is also an employee of our school district. I was told to never contact the PTO by email again, as it would not be received, and that I would be blocked. I was told that my questions sounded like contrived harassment, and that I needed to find more constructive uses for my time. I was told to go to the November 14th PTO meeting if I wanted to ask further questions. I did attend the November PTO meeting and was told that Scholastic does not know what books they are shipping to the middle school, and that the PTO does not know what books they're selling because there's not an inventory list. The book fair was selling books that under Scholastic's own website were recommended for students in 9th grade and for ages 14 and up. My thoughts are, why would Scholastic send these books to the middle school? If parents are not notified about these books, are the teachers at the middle school notified about them? It is brought up often that our school district wants to be transparent. I'd like to ask the school board to help me understand what I did wrong to receive such a response from the president of the PTO. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Kelly. Anybody else? Jackson Elementary student presentation.
Hi, I'm Tammy Fisher. I'm the principal at Jackson, and today we have Karen Lang, who is our library media specialist, and then some special 5th graders that are going to show you a little bit about Osmo. So I'll let Mrs. Lang start.
Thank you for having us present to you. These are students from Mrs. Entwistle's, Mrs. Deemer's, and Mrs. Thorson's class, and we're going to give a brief demonstration of Osmos. To quote off the Osmo website, Osmo games are geared toward embodied learning, meaning our games teach abstract concepts by connecting them to objects and actions in the physical world. Osmos are used in the libraries at Westside and Tibbetts also. Osmos require the use of an iPad or tablet, and we use different apps at different grade levels. We use numbers with kindergarten and 1st grade, spelling with the word app for 1st and 2nd, tangrams with 2nd and 3rd, but all the kids like that. Coding Jam with 4th, and Coding Obby with 5th. We've also started using Masterpiece for drawing. The students at this time will show you the Osmos and some of the modules that we have purchased.
Something keeps coming.
The check mark. There's a picture for you. So it's gonna say it's overhead with data. So that, yeah, you can see the progress. This one's on. This one takes a little bit of time.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's very easy to make shapes. And so see this very hard and easy like so years to some cases of practice.
Okay.
Instead of looking for these traces, see that it highlights the shape of which you can clear in the shape you want. It's like you can make anything you want. Some of them are harder than others, but some of them are easier.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a hard. We think about it, when you gotta watch the screen and that. Nice, very neat. That's really cool.
Nope, that's not right.
Also, and there's a lot of other games like this check mark is like it opens up more
so clear.
See, that's a new.
Well, we have to reproduce the shape that's shown.
Oh, you gotta figure it out. You have to figure out which one's better.
So.
Like you say, it's black and gray, so we kind of gotta figure it out. So
Sometimes the shapes don't fit the and like that, they just little food.
Ah, all right.
Help you know that.
Okay.
See what the still want to do this. Still want to do this, but it's kind of hard because we need to go for it to take what it's
Right.
Did that make sound?
And did it get harder as you go along, like this is a trail, so,
This one's a hard one.
okay.
With a bird head.
So it tells you like when it goes, and down here you can use two gun and put this in and it's so then the harder ones that like show you to make you go then you get put in sometimes it's hard to get that opens up a whole place where you can get rid of
Right, I was just gonna say, I would have thought that this top left shape would have been.
See, it's the animals that you need to create, it's not just so. And it can be anything you want. See, of course, as long as it's shells with that. This one, this one's easy. So you kind of, and there's one of just in case that's.
There you go. Oh, so you can build the jump back up, so you can use them again. Okay, okay.
Oh my God.
Which one do you like best to do? Yeah.
I said, definitely, to the bunny rabbit.
And then, so there's also like numbered ones. It's a puzzle too. Nothing's gonna say that you wanna be able to.
It's a puzzle enough to get them all back.
My brother had it last night too.
Oh, really?
And the writing, like the harder levels, yellowish levels. And then so I think you just see it changes because maybe this is just number
Sometimes the graders let you thank the board members for your time and we'll start.
Thanks. So you enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, oh, wait, and then the board can ask any questions or. So what does, I guess the question I'd ask is, what does this look like in integration or within the school day? How's it used?
It's during the library time. They have it. You know what, always use it, you just put them in the folder, like you said. This is a popular tool that they use. it's multi-grade levels, so they have different programs and progression. Coding oddly and coding more challenging, where they have to actually code a little character and get them to the next area of the.
The outcome, the learning outcome of that is to begin to work with them on the computer coding sequence and
Correct.
computer science and that language learnings.
Yeah, they have it at. They have different levels, and then you have they all play a part, and you have to turn it away, change it, the direction, and change the. Walking, some of them are running, some of them are jumping, so they have to change and figure out how to get from place to place.
Good, amen.
Any other questions for the students or Mrs. Lang?
How long have you been using the devices?
It's been, I wanna say 5 years.
5 years?
I have a set for, anywhere from 3 to 5. I have a set, I have 14. I think we all have 14 of these, so we can use them as partners, or if they don't have a partner that day, by themselves too. Because at one time we had a class, in case we have class sizes of 20, then they could partner up. But, and the iPads are used for different purposes, but this is just one of the things. And I noticed, I quick went on the website, they have a Cyber Monday sale. So they're about $100, and with that comes the starter kit. We chose the starter kit, and it has the numbers, tangrams, and words as part of the package, along with this, the space and the mirror. We did not purchase, they have a, instead of having the paper, they have a base that you can electronically draw to.
Questions?
Yeah, I'm wondering one right now.
The question, Adam, though, is it for you or is it for Chad?
This is awesome.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, students. And
Yeah,
Mrs. Lang. Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Turns fine. 2 weeks, gotta get up there.
You gotta do your shopping break too. Is that one right there? Is that one? Okay, love it. All right.
It takes a village.
Approval of our school board meeting minutes from November 13th, 2020. Distributed. Anybody has any comments? Otherwise, I'd be looking for a motion.
I move to approve the minutes of the November 13th, 2023 regular session school board meeting as presented.
Second.
Second, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Andre,
Yes.
Mr. Gayheart,
Yes.
Mr. Gatton,
Yes.
Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mrs. Reckles,
Abstain.
Mr. Scarrow,
Yes.
Mr. Barkus,
Yes.
Mr. Forster.
Yes.
Passes, and we're going to go on to general and other fund bills. Bill?
Yeah, the general other fund bills this evening covers checks number 150724 through 150831. Wire transfers 455 through 459 and ACH numbers 322 through 358 in a combined amount of $246,331.88. And then there's a memo providing some additional information on several of the bills in your packet. And then the bill packets followed by the treasurer's report through the month of October.
Questions, comments, concerns?
I have a question, but I don't think, I'm pretty sure that it's not on this bill, on this invoice, treasury report. I've noticed that we've been having a number of timeliness issues with the busing company that we're currently using throughout the last couple of weeks. Do we get a credit or anything like that whenever they're having these types of issues? Because we're talking 30, 45 minutes to an hour later than what should be.
So our contract does have some language relative to that. I'll have to pull it out to take a look at it.
Okay.
You know, had we known ahead of time, I could have looked at it.
Sure, yeah, I apologize.
But there are some expectations in terms of time.
Okay.
Correct.
So is there some sort of report that you're seeing, Devin, that, or is this personal experience?
No, this is this is every week you're getting text messages, emails if you're a parent saying, hey, we've combined we're short on bus drivers, we've combined people, we're gonna be 45 minutes late, dropping everybody off type of thing. And it's been consistent for almost 2 months now that has been going on. And I mean, I understand the issues that everybody is having.
Yeah.
Every district is having with bus drivers and getting them in. That's a well-known thing since the state finally passed it where school board members can actually become school bus drivers and help out with the busing situation. However, because we do still have a contract, that contract is still needed to be enforced. But that's a conversation for another day, to be honest with you.
Okay.
If it's not on here, it was just a question I had.
Okay. Bill, do you want to look at that? Maybe we'll add that as an agenda item. You can just kind of update us on.
Sure.
Maybe the bus company can provide
Yeah,
us.
we can have them do a report. I haven't experienced it. My kids ride, so it must not be impacting the routes. And I haven't had phone call complaints from anyone related to it, but I do know they combine bus routes when they're short a driver.
It's
So
like high school 17 and high school 23 must have neighboring routes because those seem to be the ones that are.
Yeah, and the ones
combined.
for West Side are the ones that I've been having issues with my daughter. So that's the one that I've been specifically having issues with. So it sounds like it's the high school and also the West Side.
If we know the route numbers, that's helpful.
Yeah, I can definitely get that.
I was going to say, I think it's 17 and 23 for the high school.
Good, we'll get that on next meeting agenda.
Thank you.
Other questions, concerns on?
Yeah, I know it was included, the city of Elkhorn chargeback for the tax. Can you give any further clarification of that? It was there, but it wasn't making sense in my brain.
It's kind of confusing. It's unfortunately a fairly typical thing that we get each year, and it really has to do, the source of that is that as one jurisdiction that does a levy for tax dollars, if an individual property owner or business doesn't pay for whatever reason, they went out of business, foreclosure, whatever the circumstances, we still receive our levy in full. The following year, then, the original, the collecting jurisdiction, which is usually the city or village or township, has the ability to go through the Department of Revenue, and there's a form and a process where they can then request a charge back to the original jurisdiction. So that's what we received. And at the same time, probably Walworth County received it for their portion. My guess is Gateway did as well. And of course, the city did probably collect their portion of the levy as well. So that then becomes a charge for us that we pay this year. And then we are able to add that onto our levy for the following year.
So essentially, we got the money, they didn't get paid, so we gotta pay it back.
Yes.
Short way around.
So
Okay.
It's just but there's a year lapse in the whole process.
Right,
And we
exactly.
can
And then we charge
increase
for it.
our next year's levy, that
By that dollar
dollar
amount.
to collect it across the
Yeah.
entire tax base.
So the levy that the school board approved this in last October, I believe, included $801 in chargebacks. And I look back, the year before was $534. Now, there are years, although I'd have to go back quite a few years, where there have been like maybe large businesses that, went out of business and then the chargebacks were much more. But the few $100s we receive is not unusual, but that can vary from year to year. And we don't know it until we get the chargeback.
Until you get it, right,
Yeah.
right, and in this case, it's $3,200.
Yeah.
Great question.
Just
Mhm.
curious, thank you.
Bill, there's a lot of where it just says a person's name and then official, and then there's an amount. What are those?
Officials. Athletic
Sporting.
referees.
Referees, got it. Got it. Okay.
Some of those should get docked a little bit of pay from what I've seen.
Based on.
We'll leave that for another day.
Other concerns, constructive.
The one thing, if I could point out, in the treasurer's report, the final page in the treasurer's report is our cash flow. And one of the things you might begin to see here for the first time in quite a while is that the amount of cash flow we have is going the other direction. So you'll see a purple line which represents 2000, our current school year, 2023-24, and you'll notice that starts off above all the other lines, but by the end of October, it's basically lined up with the previous year, and by November, it'll probably be even lower. And that's just a function of our cash flow.
And that's because we dipped into fund balance last year to, or this year.
We're
This
dipping
year.
into it
Last
this
year we
year.
were in the black, right?
Correct.
This year we're dipping. And if it drops below this, then we have to cash flow.
We
bond.
have to do cash flow bar, and we were looking at that, because usually November, December is our low point, but I think we're gonna be fine.
Looks like our lowest point was probably 2019 to 20. Oh, wait, those 2 years, 2019 to 2021, where we were dipped the lowest through November and December. Did we short term or did we cash
Yes.
borrow on that?
Yeah,
Okay.
so that would include the short-term borrowing too.
Okay.
Other comments or items to bring up? Otherwise, entertain a motion to approve the.
I move to approve.
Go
I
ahead.
move to approve the general and other fund bills of November 27, 2023, check numbers 150724 to 150831, wire numbers 455 to 459, and ACH numbers 322 to 358 in the combined amount of $246,331.88 as presented.
A second, please.
Second.
All right, a motion to approve the general and other fund bills of November 27, 2023, check numbers 150724 to 150831, wire numbers 455 to 459, and ACH numbers 322 to 358 in the combined amount of $246,331.88 has been approved. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Andre,
Yes.
Mr. Garrett,
Yes.
Mr. Gatton,
Yes.
Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mrs. Reckles,
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow,
Yes.
Mr. Barkus,
Yes.
Mr. Forster.
Yes.
Approved. On to student representative report. Who's leading this? Yes.
Elkhorn High School's theater performed Elf the Musical and put on a great show for the audience. Senora Adams' Spanish class had a Socratic seminar about which songs should win the international music competition local 2 grade.
At the middle school, the 6th graders got to FaceTime with the author of The Cran Men, Natasha Thiebaud. And there's a new club at the middle school where kids are able to explore the world of sign language.
Jackson Art Studio finished their ornaments for the Wisconsin holiday tree at the Capitol building. In the middle, fifth graders went and worked with the second graders and played a fun game. They played a fun place value game with them. And the first graders celebrated Thanksgiving by working on the project and saying what they're all thankful for.
This second grade class read Balloons Over Broadway to learn about the history of the Thanksgiving Day Parade. And in June of 2020, the Elkhorn Area School District Education Fund awarded innovation grants to FCCLA and HOSA to travel to international leadership conferences, which provided experiences, training, and preparation for life after high school. They reached out this past Tuesday for the community to give back, make any gifts possible to the EASDEF in support of Giving Tuesday.
Tibbetts kindergartners celebrated Thanksgiving with turkey donuts, hats, and handprint turkeys. Third graders have some Thanksgiving fun by playing Crazy Eights and King's Corner. And Tibbetts Student Council had Great Scott the Magician come in before they kicked off their Thanksgiving break.
4K and 5K classrooms enjoyed their fall feast that they worked so hard on so they can enjoy a delicious meal. And ServSafe Manager certification will be offered in January if you or your staff want to become recertified. The course will be taught by certified instructor Jim Waymeyer. More details can be found on their Facebook page.
The fifth mini maker fair is opening and accepting applications for all makers. February 17th.
All right. Questions? We'll move on to the Financial Stability Committee update.
The committee had another meeting last Monday, and this following Monday we'll have one. We're making progress towards having a recommendation for the board. I think we'd still like to have the committee wrapped up and have a recommendation made in December or the 1st of January. Ed, Devin, or Bill?
I mean, I think the last meeting was really good. There are people that are on both sides that are that have their where they're wanting to go with the committee, and both sides are willing to listen to one another. And I mean, really, I can't really stress that enough. Like, everybody is invested in the committee and willing to talk about how to fix our issues here at the school district. And no matter where that ends up taking the school board, everybody, they're willing just to listen to everything. So I can't give enough kudos to everybody that's actually on the committee right now.
Yeah, and I think too, I think the committee is also spending some time developing a recommendation on when we should go to referendum, if we go for referendum. So thinking about the logistics of that and how that works and all that has been a good discussion. So looking forward to the final recommendation of the board.
What are the two sides?
Well, so people that want to go to referendum, people that don't want to go to referendum.
Sure.
I mean, and there's been a lot of movement on both sides to where you have some that are wanting to go for a larger amount of a referendum, coming down to where it's still reasonable to them, to where we can still stay in the black and pay our bills and do the things we need to do. And those who don't want to do a referendum are looking at, hey, let's look at cuts, and they're getting what they're looking for as well as keeping the referendum as only to what is needed, if needed, if that's where the committee ends up going towards.
I think the other point, I mentioned this maybe a couple of meetings ago, I've just been so impressed with the commitment of those committee members. I mean, we've been meeting now since September. How many meetings have we had, Kelly? Quite a few, right? So it's a lot of time commitment, and I think as Devin mentioned, and Ed, they've been invested in this process. And I really was happy to see at the last meeting, I think some people spoke up maybe more so than they have the previous meetings to share their thoughts. That's what we want. We want to have the dialogue. So I think it's been good discussion. So I'm hopeful that we come to at least a general consensus and bring back some recommendations here, in December. So.
Thank you. All right, first reading of revised policy 187, public participation at board meetings. Also introduces the registration card. Let's
Yeah, so this is our current public participation at board meetings. The policy committee is forwarding a recommendation to add this paragraph that's in blue, which would simply provide, similar to if you've ever gone and testified at the Capitol or at the city, or it's a common practice to just have a card registration that's completed prior to the public comment. That way, the participants can turn that into the board president or the person who's in charge of that meeting. So they know, yep, we have a public participation for that meeting. It also provides a process to an order in case there happens to be, we set aside 30 minutes for public comment, so it gives some guidance or an order to, who's called on and in what order. It also helps verify that the individuals are either parents of the school district or residents of the school district.
or employees.
Or employees, correct. So again, nothing that, you look at, we typically don't have very much public comment, so it's probably typically one could say, well, is it really necessary? But it's being more proactive for, you may have a topic where, okay, there's a lot of public participation. Yep. And then this is an example or the template for what the registration card would look like. So it allows them to certify. And again, we've never had a problem of someone from outside the district coming and participating in the public comment when they shouldn't, but other districts in our area have had that issue where a topic comes up and outside of the district people come, and by policy they're not granted or given that time. So someone could fill out and lie about it. We're not going to be able to verify it on the spot, but at least it's just getting that other check on that expectation. Any other comments from policy committee on that?
No, that was our first reading of that. So on our.
I got a couple questions about it, if I could.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it talks about participation required to register intents to participate in those blah blah blah. Okay, right? So, is there a time limit that we're looking at for those individuals to be able to get us our comments? The reason why I ask is one of the times that we looked at this prior to this, there was a concern voiced by me that there have been multiple times where individuals have said, "Hey, I wasn't going to comment," but then somebody spoke and I felt moved to be able to talk about such so and so issue, right? Such and such issue. Is that do we still allow for that with this?
Yeah.
With this?
Yeah. So
Okay.
so what would happen is, okay, I decided I want to talk because somebody else was speaking on something. They just go grab the card, they fill it out, and hand it to Jason. Perfect. Filters up here.
Okay, so there's no time limit at all. That works for me. Okay.
No, we do have a time
In the
limit
policy.
in the policy itself.
But I mean, what I meant by that is, I mean, they don't have to have it in before we start participating or anything else like that. It's
Registration card can be submitted after the start of the public comment.
Yeah,
Portion of the meeting is on.
priority. Yeah, priority will be given to participants who submitted. Okay. Okay.
So if someone say it's a large public comment and there's 12 people and the first 10 use up their time, then they may.
Then that
No.
we go past the 30-minute window at that point, anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, why I'm want us to be working on this is that, say we have an issue where a lot of people want to speak to us, we'll probably have a meeting just for that particular issue, and give everybody the appropriate amount of time for us to hear their concerns, versus having a 3-hour, regular board meeting, which would be, I think, unproductive to the cause. So that's my thought on this particular addition.
Okay.
Any other comments? Doug?
No, that was the only one. I just wanted to make sure that there was still something in there for that. So as long as it is, I'm good with it.
Yeah, thank you. All right, on to personnel.
All right, the personnel sheet is attached. There's just a handful of items on there. Ashley Drake being appointed as the interim food service supervisor. She's currently the assistant, or was the assistant to the food service supervisor. And we have the appointment of Leticia Roman, Christopher Sanders, and Lisa Loddig as listed.
Questions or concerns? Otherwise, we need a motion to approve the personnel recommendation sheet.
I move to approve the personal recommendation sheet for November 27th, 2023, including new employment contracts, condition upon passing the background check and district mandated drug screening as presented.
Second, please.
Second.
Right. This has been moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Andre?
Yes.
Mr. Gayheart?
Yes.
Mr. Gatton?
Yes.
Mrs. Costa?
Yes.
Mrs. Reckles?
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow?
Yes.
Mr. Barkus?
Yes.
Mr. Forster?
Yes.
Moving on, acceptance of school gifts.
We've got 3 gifts to present this evening. Reaver Music has donated 75 symphony stands and 5 Director Fourscore stands valued at $4,400. Elkhorn Penguins has donated 48 batteries, 12 clipboards, and 12 swim fins valued at $537.37. And Linda Malvitz has donated a flute valued at $200.
So, motion to accept these generous gifts.
I make a motion. I move to accept the generous school gifts as presented.
Second, please. All in favor? Opposed? All right, passes. Let's move on to announcements.
All right, the announcements. Basically, the WASB convention is coming up in January. It's an excellent convention. I realize that many of you work. If there is a time that you can get away, I'd go and look at the schedule. There may be a keynote speaker that might pique your interest, or some certain sectionals. If you're able to get away, and feel free to let Jody know. She'll get you registered for the event. If not, that's perfectly all right. And it's usually, for whatever reason, really cold up there on those days. It just always smiles on. It was really cold days. And then thank you to those that had an opportunity to complete the evaluation survey. If you hadn't had a chance, you just get that completed for the next board meeting. Links included in the agenda. That's all we have.
All right. For a motion to adjourn. Heather?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I second.
Roll call vote.
Mr. Andre?
Yes.
Mr. Gayheart?
Yes.
Mr. Gatton?
Yes.
Mrs. Costa?
Yes.
Mrs. Reckles?
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow?
Yes.
Mr. Barkus?
Yes.
Mr. Forster?
Yes.